What's good, everybody? RJ Sheldon here back with another episode of Off the Top Show, BD Boys Edition. As you see on the screen here, I have my good brother, James Muenchow, a.k.a. Jimmer, a.k.a. Jim Bob Cooter. What's happening, man?
Brother, it was a great Thanksgiving, great Thanksgiving. I hope everybody else had a great Thanksgiving as well. We got piss pounded with snow. Like, holy Moses.
Yes, we
It
did.
started off as a great Thanksgiving, and on Saturday, it just said, by the way, here's some white stuff. And a lot of it. So, excuse me. But other than that, can't complain about the weekend, can't complain about the Thanksgiving. But we're into the good stuff now. Like, we're
Oh,
getting
yes,
into
we
it now.
are.
Like, this is where it's getting serious a little bit right now.
Oh, it's getting very serious. But let's go ahead and rewind here to Thanksgiving. Our Green Bay Packers went ahead and beat the Detroit Lions 31-24. Mighty good Lord. There was a lot of questions that we thought that both sides possibly couldn't do, and they got answered. Talk to me about it on both ends, because this was one of those games where if you're a Packer fan, you're sitting here like, I think we're all right. But talk to me about your Packers here in this game.
So, holy Moses, there's a lot to unravel in this game because both teams defensively, the Green Bay Packers just came off a really, really, really good defensive performance. Detroit Lions, they're struggling a little bit, obviously. So you're thinking, okay, at home, Thanksgiving, hated the probably your biggest rival. I still think these two teams are two of the best in the NFC North. We'll get to those fucking people from the South here in just a little bit. But you knew that the Detroit Lions are going to do what they do best, which is really physical football, very aggressive offensively. You know, they haven't changed who they are in 4 years, 5 years, where the Packers seem to change their identity every other damn week. So
Right.
you asked what Green Bay Packers are going to show up. The only thing that doesn't change is the defensive mentality of the Green Bay Packers. That has been consistent the whole year. It's just sometimes the performance is lacking, or the results are lacking of the performance. So at the beginning of the game, no team could stop anybody. No defense could stop anybody. You could have put probably a high school team out there. They're probably going to do something against those guys because this offenses were just going down there scoring at will. So you were like, oh my God, it's going to come down to who can come up with a big stop, whose defense can figure out the other offense. Well, it turned out Green Bay was that team. If you look at the stat line for the whole thing, this was literally a neck and neck game all the way down. Total yards for Green Bay, 359. Total yards for Detroit, 352. Passing yards, 234 for Green Bay, 233 for Detroit. Rushing yards, 125 for Green Bay, 119 for Detroit. Yards per play, 6 for Green Bay, 5.9 for Detroit. First downs, 18 to 20. Third down efficiency, 6 of 12 to 8-13. You know, everything was pretty right down the middle. Time of possession even was 31 minutes to 29 minutes. Red zone, Green Bay was 2 of 2 and Detroit was 2 of 3. What changed the game? And it's what has bit the Detroit Lions in the ass year after year after year after year, and that is going for it on fourth down. I mean, there's times where Dan Campbell, which he will all the time, will go for it in no man's land, and it was really shocking to me when he went for it. The first time he went for it, it was 4th and 3, and he ran the ball. I was like, really? Oh, okay. That I was like, is Matt LaFleur calling plays for the Detroit Lions right now? Because that was quite a Matt LaFleur pick. No? Okay, perfect, great. Green Bay was 3 for 3 on fourth down, and Detroit was 0 for 2. That's literally in a game this close where you could circle everything. And then the other thing was, first of all, Jordan Love played fantastic. Tell me anybody who says it differently, you're wrong. I get it. He was 18 for 30, but he threw for 234 and 4 touchdowns with a 124 quarterback rating. What? Tell me he didn't play well. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Josh Jacobs had a really good game, 17 for 83. Dontavion Wicks stepped up in a big way. 6 catches, 94 yards for 2 touchdowns. And then Christian Watson did what he does best, takes the top off of defense, 4 catches, 80 yards, and a touchdown, which one of those was a 51-yarder. So you looked at who is going to step up. I've always believed in Dontavion Wicks, and he led the league in drops last year. But those drops, if he drops only 2 of those, the dude is just he's hard to cover. And what have we seen from Green Bay? What gives them success? We saw it with Pittsburgh. Detroit does it a lot too. They play a lot of man coverage. Green Bay, if you want to play man coverage against Green Bay, they have really good guys that can beat man coverage. It's the zone coverage, the teams that play zone and have really good pass rushing, like the Philadelphia Eagles, that they struggle with. So Detroit played a lot of man coverage, and they obviously got burned. So hats off to Matt LaFleur. He was aggressive. I was like, who is this? Like Matt LaFleur going for it on 4th down 3 times, especially at the end of the game. That end of the game, I was nervous. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know they have to go get a touchdown. I know their defense hasn't really stopped anything. But I think he mismanaged that last of the game. Again, we're nitpicking here on a dub, a huge dub. And it was 3rd and 3. And if you had in your mind that I'm going for it on 4th down, why are you throwing the football? Like, if anything, because that led Detroit to keep their timeout. They only had 1 timeout remaining. Just run the football. If you get 2 yards, if you get a yard, I mean, even if you get no gain, they have to take a timeout. And then at least if you want to go for it on 4th down and don't convert, they have to go 60 yards with no timeouts. At least they don't have a timeout where if they want to go in the middle of the field, it'll take a good chunk of time off the clock. I didn't agree with that, but hey, then he's like, we're going for it. And I thought, honestly, I was like, well, since he threw it on 3rd down, didn't get it, I thought he was going to punt the ball, play field position, have them go 80+ yards down the field with 1 timeout with a $150 left, which is manageable. Don't get me wrong, but it plays into the hands of the man of the hour, the man who I thought should have been player of the game, numero uno, Micah Parsons. Like, the 4th quarter hit from Micah Parsons, and he said, by the way, it's game over. We're done with this shit. You know, we're going to get stops. I'm going to get sacks. And Jesus, holy mackerel, he was in the lap of Jared Goff. It seemed almost every snap or every other snap in that 4th quarter. He was playing with like a man possessed and a man who deserves to be paid $188 million. So I thought that's when Matt LaFleur was going to punt, because he's like, Micah Parsons is getting after the quarterback right now, and they have to throw the ball, which if Micah Parsons know they're going to throw the ball every single play, it spells disaster for some offensive lines. So, and I thought it was great because Dan Campbell said, I like our guys. They're talking about double teaming Micah. He's like, I like our tackles. And Micah Parsons is like, okay, guess what? I like me. So, and he made some of those tackles look, even at, they were playing with a backup left tackle, and Micah Parsons just ate him alive. So, unfortunately, the only downside to this game really was Devontae Wyatt going down for season-ending ankle injury, which will hurt quite a bit because he's a guy who's a really good interior pass rusher. But other than that, Matt LaFleur called a hell of a game. They ran the ball efficiently. They threw the ball efficiently. They took chances, and it worked out in their favor. There's nothing really you could do. They would score, and then Detroit would answer right back. But then they would get back up. They were always playing with a lead, and they were always playing because they knew Dan Campbell is going to be aggressive. So they had to be aggressive as well. And I'm sitting there going, we don't need to be that aggressive every game like Detroit is. But if you found that happy medium between LaFleur's very conservative side, like in Minnesota, if he was half as aggressive as he was in Minnesota, that game would have been 40-6. It wouldn't have even been close. But There's just times where he just is like, you know what, I'm going to be conservative today. And then there's other times like Thanksgiving where he's like, I have to be as aggressive as possible because I know he's very reactionary based on what other teams are doing, which I don't like because Dan Campbell doesn't care what they're going to do. He's going to do what he does because that's just who he is. Matt LaFleur bases what he's going to do on the other side of the based on what the other side of the field is going to do. I just don't like that mentality. So that's why it's every other week. We don't know what type of Matt LaFleur we're getting, but I think if Matt LaFleur finds that happy medium between conservative and aggressive, like he did against Detroit, compared to what he did against Minnesota, because it was night and day. It was like one was very conservative, and the other one was very aggressive. Feel like if we can find a medium, and he does it situationally, and he plays his cards right, the sky's the limit for this team, which I think I've been saying all year. But sometimes situationally, Matt LaFleur just doesn't do things very well, which is also somewhat in hindsight, but at the same time, it's like, why can't you do this every week? Well, then the next week against Chicago, maybe he'll be like, well, we're gonna try to run the ball 35 times, and it's like, why are we doing this? Makes no sense. So that's why it's so hard to judge this team, even though they're
Right.
8-3-1. But hey, you got to take the dubs. This is the first time since 2020, I think, that they swept Detroit,
Yep.
which before then, Detroit was basically 2 free wins, put them up on the board. We don't even need to play the games. But you know what? Hats off to them. And now you have it kind of reminds me of 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years. Yeah, 2 years ago. You played Detroit at home. Big win. Totally different situation though, because I think you were 2-5 at that point, or 3-5. Played Detroit, or four. They were like 4-6. They were in the hole. Like they were in the hole. They had no games to give up. Um, Played Detroit at home. Big win there. Get your season back on track, and then you came back home to Kansas City, the defending champions, beat them there. It's kind of the same situation here, only it's for control of the NFC North. I mean, you're well ahead. I think this is a playoff team. They're going to get the wild card. But this is for control of the NFC North and the number 1 seed of the NFC, to where you could possibly, if you keep it rolling, get all the playoffs rolling through Green Bay. And when it's cold, look at all the teams at the top. You think Matthew Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams want to come to Lambeau in January?
Absolutely
You
not.
think Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers want to come to Lambeau in December or in January? Absolutely not. So you look at Philadelphia, probably will, because they can do it. They play outdoors. But this is a really big game because you can take control or get on top of the NFC, and then it's in your own hands. So we'll talk about this game. I got a little bit ahead of myself, but I just want to hit the point that this reminds me a little bit like 2 years ago when you had a big win in Detroit on Thanksgiving, and then you had back-to-back big games, which you have probably the game of the year right now, Green Bay versus Chicago.
No, let's just roll right into it. I think we all know what this entails for both franchises. This is like getting back to where this used to be a household game now, to where like this has something on the line, and it's crazy how time flies. We've been very little watching the Packers versus the Bears with Jay Cutler, Aaron Rodgers, from Favre to whoever, Grossman, all those times. Obviously, it's like you see that it's just a repeating cycle, but people look at this Bears team. I mean, you don't run 267 yards on a defending champs for no reason. I understand that people can look at that and be like, oh, it's just the same old Bears. But I have some people that I've kind of met through my time, and Coach Roshar, who's the offensive line coach there in Chicago. He was at Michigan State when I was getting recruited, and he had Le'Veon Bell, and Le'Veon Bell rushed for over about 1,500 yards, and that offensive line was cooking. So what they're doing scheme-wise, gap-wise, is going to be tough, but at the same time, we know what our defensive line is like. But this is going to be two tales of probably what we're going to be seeing on for the next 4 years, I feel, between the Bears and the Packers. This is going to be a great game. I think there's going to be a lot riding, but at the same time, I feel that we can actually beat this team by 2 scores. I don't know why,
Easy.
but I
Yeah.
feel that we definitely can beat them by like a 31-14 game. If we completely stop the run and make Caleb Williams throw, this game is over. But talk to me about it. That's just my 2 cents. But talk to me
I
about
just
this and
want to,
kind of what you're
yeah,
thinking.
I just want to run through the Bears schedule. Now, I don't want to discredit anything they've done, but we have
Yeah,
to
you
take
do.
a look at what they. Yeah, I do. But okay, yeah, you caught me.
You got me. Yeah, you do.
Okay,
I'll be the
hold
one.
on,
I'll be the one
hold
to
on.
go
When I
ahead and
discredit, hold on. I gotta open up this sumbitch before I, let me get some of this before I go here.
this is let RJ be the medium guy, the guy in the middle. Let RJ be the
Yeah,
guy in the middle.
yeah.
That's why I got you to do
I
this.
mean,
So let's
so
rewind.
the Bears have played obviously they played the Vikings and Lions once. They lost to both of those teams. They beat the Cowboys, which is pretty impressive, and then they beat the Raiders by 1 on a blocked field goal. Raiders, who are the worst team in the NFL, if I say so myself. You beat the Commanders, who are struggling, by 1, and then you beat the Saints, who are horrible. And then the Ravens beat you with no Lamar Jackson. And then you gave up 42 points to the Bengals, but you scored 47, so congratulations on that one. And then you beat the Giants by 4, whoop-de-doo. And then you beat the Vikings with J.J. McCarthy by 2, whoop-de-doo. And then you beat the struggling Steelers, gave up 28 points to them and beat them by 3. And then you had a pretty impressive win on the road against the Eagles. Am I impressed by this Bears team? Hell no. Come on now. I mean, for God's sakes, they play the Browns, the 49ers, Packers twice, and Lions. They have had the easiest schedule in the NFL. This team, and then how did they win against the Bears? Caleb Williams had a 56 quarterback rating, going 17 of 36 for 154 yards. Yes, DeAndre Swift ran for 18 for 125, and then Kyle, Mengai. Oh my God, I'm gonna butcher that guy's name. Whatever, I don't even know his name. That's how unimportant he is to me. Ran for 22 for 130. And then nobody else on their team had a receiving yards over 36. What does that spell? It's called the same game plan against the Minnesota Vikings, in my opinion. Right here, you put 8 in the box, you make Caleb Williams beat you, and if they want to start, I mean, don't get me wrong, Ben Johnson, I think, is a really great offensive mind. So if you do that, he'll probably have something for you. But what does Green Bay do well? You bring 8 in the box, you let X play the center of the field and let him just play ball hawk. And if Caleb Williams wants to yeet a ball up down the field, Xavier McKinney's just going to play center field and go and get it. So let Caleb Williams be the one to beat you and not this running game that apparently is really, really good. Now, don't get me wrong, they put a lot of money into the offensive line, the Bears did this past year. And again, the defense for the Bears, I said this last year when Green Bay played them both times, is legit.
Yes.
This
They've always
Bears
been legit.
defense is
They've always been
legit. They've been legit when they were bad, but they just couldn't play complementary football. So
Right.
Matt LaFleur is gonna have to be aggressive again, cut Jordan Love loose. If Jaden Reed and Matthew Golden come back, and guess what? Marshawn Lloyd's back in practice. I don't think he'll play, but he's back in practice. Emmanuel Wilson's playing really well, and this offensive line is finding something. And by the way, it's going to be cold. And I mean cold. Yeah. It's going to be cold. Yes. It's just the cold spell just hit here in Wisconsin. And Caleb Williams, yeah, he has 1 year under his belt. 1 year under his belt from last year playing in the cold. Guess what? He didn't play very well in the cold. It's supposed to be 19-degree high on Sunday. And then low is supposed to be 3. And guess what? It's at 3:25. The sun's going to be down in an hour.
Yep.
And then it's going to get cold. And if it's windy, there's 8 to 10 mile per hour winds, it's saying, which again, this is still really early. If it's windy, I'm just saying, there's one team that's built for the cold. There's not. The other team has people that are like that just live in it, they'll get used to it. Don't get me wrong. They're getting the same shit down there in Chicago. They're just getting more snow. Um, I'm just saying, Caleb Williams played in USC for most of his career. And yes, he played here in Chicago, or he played against in Chicago last year. But look at his numbers once it got cold. It's not very good. So they're going to want to run the ball because DeAndre Swift is very knows how to play in the cold. DJ Moore knows how to play in the cold. They're going to want to get the ball out of Caleb Williams' hands. So I want this Green Bay defense to be very aggressive as well on the short throws, but make Caleb Williams beat you. Do not let them run for 260 yards because if you do that, they're going to control the game. And that's just, and then they're going to let Caleb Williams be a game manager. You want him to be a playmaker. Can he be a playmaker? Absolutely. We've seen very good things out of Caleb Williams. We've seen great growth from him and Ben Johnson in year one. But it's cold. Cold is very, very fast. Like, I'm telling you, people in the cold play different if you're not used to it. So this is a huge game. If Micah Parsons plays like he did last week, we've seen what happens when Caleb Williams gets under duress. We've seen it with Jordan Love when he gets under duress. It changes their whole mentality. They start rushing throws. They start getting happy feet, and they run themselves into sacks sometimes. Just don't let Caleb Williams beat you with his feet because he is very athletic. He can run the ball as well. Stay in your lane, gap integrity for pass rushing lanes, and just as long as you keep Caleb Williams in the pocket and maybe get a couple sacks early and bring some pressure, he might get happy feet, start throwing the ball away. You got to get into his head early. But Matt LaFleur, again, this defense is legit. You're going to have to do exactly the same thing you did last week against the Lions defense that you're going to do with the Bears. So if you get this win, you take control of the NFC, and then your schedule is still really tough. Don't get me wrong, because their last easy game was the Giants, and that wasn't even an easy game. Actually, the Vikings, because they're dog shit. Then you have the Bears twice. Then you got to go to Mile High. You got to go to Mile High, and that you want to talk about defense. That defense is a completely different level. And then you got Baltimore coming in, and Baltimore's desperate, and they have Lamar Jackson back healthy-ish. I don't know how his hamstring's doing. You've told me plenty of times people pulled their hamstrings never are the same. You said your hamstring's still not the same, and that was how many years ago? So, and then you got, thankfully, the Vikings last game of the year in the Dome. Nice, cozy, warm weather against probably a really horrible J.J. McCarthy. Hopefully, maybe the Vikings just give up. I would love to see that. And then the Packers just beat the pants off of them. And maybe hopefully secure a number one seed or the North that day. So you got big games coming up. Like, this is big boy playoff football right now. Like, you want to talk about playoff atmospheres? It's right now. So you start off by beating the Bears on national television and beating the pants off of them. Show them who's their daddy, and then let's move on to Denver.
No, absolutely. That one's at 3:25 this weekend. That's a huge one. Let's go ahead and take care of business, which I think we definitely will. I feel we're rolling right now. Let's move on over to our good Wisconsin Badger football. They had went and lost to the Minnesota Gophers 17-7. We have finished the season 4-8. Obviously, you can tell, right? Beginning of the season, good God. End of the season, all right. And I think that's kind of been what it was for about 3 years now. But let's just talk about this game here. There's a lot of, in my opinion, decisions at the quarterback position that kind of really just didn't make sense to me. I mean, you could go ahead and maybe talk about some things maybe, but that was one that sticked out a lot. But you lost, right? Axe is still there. You saw that, stats-wise, what you're looking at. I mean, you can't give up 100 yards rushing. Clearly, that was the MO that, you guys have planned yourself to not give up 100 yards. You did here. But I just think realistically for this game, I just didn't understand the switch between Carter and Smith and Simons. Carter was more of a threat than Simons would ever be, but I have my own spiel about it. You tell me kind of what went wrong in this game for Wisconsin to lose. Because they should have won this game. They should at least had an opportunity to be in this game to win. I don't know. That's just me.
I agree with you. It really didn't make sense because you look at the conditions. Like as soon as I saw snow, I'm like Carter Smith. They're gonna run a certain rushing attack where I thought they're gonna use Carter Smith's legs. They're gonna use Darian Dupree, which they did, and they just didn't. Like they just totally abandoned. They just total. They're like they threw the ball 27 times in that snow. It's like wait a minute, whoa, 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 whoa. We just figured out like ways to run with Carter Smith. It really keeps the defense off balance. And you decide that you're just going to start throwing the ball. I mean, they threw for 182 yards in the snow, and I think that was pretty impressive in itself. But I'm with you. I didn't understand it at all. I mean, I think it was Simmons. Not that it matters anyway. We don't know his name. He's
No,
he's not
Simmons,
important.
Simons. Sorry,
Simmons,
brother.
green jacket, gold jacket. Who gives a shit? 12 of 19 for 162 yards, like two, but two interceptions. He turned the ball over. I mean, Carter Smith was 5 of 8 for only 20 yards, but he threw for a touchdown, which that touchdown was sick. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, look at the big fella. So I didn't understand it either. Vinny Anthony had a great game. Four catches, 92 yards. Mason Lane, 4 catches for 50 yards. So I was very confused as well because if you can control the football like you have in games past with Illinois, Washington, and then, I mean, I was shocked that Wisconsin gave up so many rushing yards because, again, we watched them against Alabama, stuff Alabama, and Alabama's in the playoff, college football playoff, like, and they have some big boys there. Like, I didn't think I would ever see. Maybe it was the conditions, maybe it was slipperier, I don't know, but I thought I would never see the Wisconsin Badger defensive line get bullied like they did.
Right.
I mean, they still only gave up 4 yards of play, but still, I mean, if you look at Minnesota's rushing attempts, I mean, they rushed the ball, carry the 30 times, and Darius Taylor runs really mad, by the way. Like, don't get me wrong, that boy does not go down. So maybe it was, yeah, I think if he goes to the NFL, I think he'd be a great NFL, like, third down back, second back. But, I mean, Drake Lindsley had an efficient passing day of 18 for 24 for 90 yards and a touchdown. But that wasn't the threat. They just kept handing it off to Darius Taylor, and he kept putting his shoulder into people, and it looked like people were cold. Like, honestly, looked like the Wisconsin Badgers were a little cold because we've seen it in Green Bay with Josh Jacobs last year against Miami. They didn't want any part of that. It looked like all of his yards came after some contact, first initial contact. So I just never thought I'd see a Wisconsin Badger defensive line this big get bullied like they did. So that was just shocking. And then, of course, obviously, as we hit on, the offensive game plan just wasn't to where I thought. I mean, for God's sakes, Bill Belichick walked into Buffalo when he was coaching New England with a really subpar quarterback in Mac Jones and just a subpar team, and it was a freaking blizzard with winds up to 30 miles an hour, and he walked in with a Navy mask on. Guess what Navy does all the time? Run the fucking ball. So I thought that was going to be what was in store for us, but boy, was I ever wrong. So it was just confusing. I thought they found an identity, and then they went away from it, and I didn't understand it. That looks like something you should have done in maybe game like 4 of the year, if you're trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. You figured out what worked the past 2 to 3 games, and you got 2 wins out of it, out of 2 top 25 teams. And again, I know they're playing on the road, and playing on the road in college football is totally different, but it just looks like they're again back to figuring out what works for us. Now, you know what works for you. And by the way, it's snowing out with some wind. Like, what you're playing into Minnesota's hands. So it was very disappointing in that aspect of it. And I know if we're gonna blame Luke Fickell, Luke Fickell doesn't really control the offense. He's a defensive-minded head coach. I mean, maybe he has some. Obviously, he's a head coach. He has decisions he makes, but he most of the time leaves the offensive decisions, game plans, into his offensive coordinator. So
Right.
you have to look at the offense coordinator. What was he thinking? So again, was there the end of the day? They're not going to a bowl game again, and the question is, was there growth? There was more growth from the Wisconsin Badgers in the last 4 games than there was in the past 2 years. And I think now you have an identity. You know what Carter Smith brings to the table. You develop them over the summer. You go out and get some big heavies in the portal on the offensive line and find your identity again. And I mean, if Vinny Anthony, I don't know what year Vinny Anthony is, but if he comes back for another year, Trex Kekahuna is I think will become a great wide receiver. Darian Dupree seems really nice as a running back. Um, Go out and get some dudes in the portal and maybe you get back to 500 next year. But I think with Carter Smith, you kind of figured out that of who you are a little bit more. So you can build on that. I mean, and I think it's Fickle's 4th year out of his 5-year deal next year. Um, you got to let this offensive coordinator and let him rebuild this offense to what the offensive coordinator wants, which is more ground and pound. So again, was the season successful? No, not really. But was the last 4 games successful? Absolutely. I think there was tremendous success in the past 4 games. You went 500. So, and again, this defense with Tressel is always going to be competitive, always going to be good because that man's a genius. He knows his identity and he coaches that way. So,
Right.
again, I think they made some really good strides in the last 4 games, and I think they can build on it in the offseason. Again, you never know what they're going to bring in the portal. You never know who's going to leave in the portal either. I mean, some of these cats might leave. You know, that freshman linebacker Posa, he might be like, peace, I'm out, guys. I had a really good year, and I'm going to go get 500 million from an SEC team or 500,000 from an SEC team. That's just how the game works today. So,
Right.
so you never know. But again, if this was back in the old days, you'd be like, all right, we're gonna have this crew, maybe lose 1 or 2 from transfers. But now you have no idea. You have no clue what's gonna happen. You have no clue who's gonna be brought in. They might bring in another quarterback again to try to start again, like they did for the past 3 years. You never know. So again, I think this team made some strides, but you got to rebuild that offensive line if you want to do ground and pound because they're not built for ground and pound now. They were built for the air raid. They're a little undersized. This defense again is always going to be good, and you got to try to bring in some more weapons for Carter Smith if Carter Smith is the way that you're going to move on in the future.
No, absolutely. We can only see what happens throughout I guess these next 3 months. Looking at the calendar I got here in front of me, a lot of things are going to happen. But hey, next year we go ahead and face Notre Dame in Lambeau. That's the first game to kick off, so we better have our shit together.
Yes, sir.
Let's move on over here to our Bucks here. It's just not looking good. Last 10 games we're 2-8, 11th right now in the Eastern Conference. We lost against the Wizards. There's so much things going on. You got people just absolutely having a heart attack while Giannis deleting everything via Twitter. You're seeing Giannis not getting calls, which I think is unreal. I don't understand how a man can't get a foul, not only for the health, but that's kind of just showing you what the organization of the WNBA and what people really want and what they're trying to do. I hope a lot of people kind of accept that they need to take the blinders off and actually see what's going on because
the
it's
NBA,
kind
not
of
the
crazy.
WNBA. They're kind of treating it like the WNBA. With Caitlin
But
Clark.
I mean,
Giannis is getting the Caitlin Clark treatment.
But just talk to me about this and just because you know how Wisconsin people get, man. We always want to win right away, but there's so much ball left. I understand that you're mad at the 9-13, but give me your thoughts on this whole situation right now because it's just a lot going on, and there does need to be some things that do need to be taken care of, aka head coaching. I'm not gonna sit here and lie about it.
Yeah, you're not. I mean, Giannis came back for the just making sure I have this correct before I say it. For the Knicks game, the NBA group,
Yeah.
the NBA Cup game, he came back for the Knicks, which was a little earlier than was 1 game earlier actually than I thought was going to happen. Played the Knicks. You lost a tough one in the Knicks. Guess what? The Knicks are going to be, that's the top group in the East, top team. That's just going to happen. You know what? Unfortunately, you lost. Giannis had 30 and 15 and 8 in his first game back, which is ridiculous. The person that's really been a disappointment this year, I hate to say it, is Miles Turner. And he is not playing anywhere near to what he played last year or year before that or year before that with Indiana. So I mean that's your underachiever. Kyle Kuzma had 20 against the Knicks. That's an overachievement. AJ Green had 18, overachievement. Ryan Rollins 13. That's par for the course for him. And then you had Gary Trent Jr. with 3, Bobby Portis with 3, and Gary Harris with 5, and Cole Anthony with 7. So the bench is a little lacking, but again, that's the New York Knicks. That happens. Like if this was what teams I'm about to get into, now I'm getting a little pissed because then you went and beat the Brooklyn Nets. Good. That's a team you should beat. They're 3-16. Uh, Again, AJ Green 15, Giannis 29, Miles Turner 10. Not cutting the mustard. Kevin Porter Jr. made his return, which is huge. 13 points in his return. Perfect. Ryan Rollins 10. And then Kyle Kuzma 11, Bobby Portis 13. Fine. Again, Gary Trent Jr. not the greatest performance with 25 minutes of 5 points. Then the rest of were just bench players that got a couple minutes at the end of the game. And then the biggest problem for me, this was where I had issues. The Washington Wizards yesterday. They lost to the Washington Wizards in Washington. That should not happen. They were 2-16, and I know it's any given game, but you should not be losing to the Washington Wizards. Again, guys like Giannis, 26, KPJ, 30. But then we get back into it. AJ Green, 13. AJ Green scores 10 points for me. Done. Great. Double digits for AJ Green. I think he did his job. Ryan Rollins, 14. That's his average. Good job. You played average. Gary Trent Jr. finally got off his shit and scored 14. Great. But where does the problem lie? Miles Turner, 9 points. It's not what we're paying you for. Like, I understand his defense. His plus minus was plus 10. So at least when he was on the court, that means he's really good defensively. We pay you to score points. Bobby Portis, 12. But his plus minus was minus 7 because he's awful on defense. Gary Trent Jr., minus 12. So that was just a defensive issue. You gave up 129 to one of the worst teams in the league. That's a problem. Now it's starting to get back on coaching. That's what that speaks to me. I mean, again, I know we get on this podcast, and you and I are not Doc Rivers people. This is his last year in the contract. And I'm going to say this. Doc Rivers is going to be the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks to the end of this year. This is last year's contract. Why do you ask? Why aren't they going to fire him and hire somebody else? Because the Bucks can't afford his buyout. They are still paying whatever the fuck Adrian Griffin for 2 more years, or for 1 more year after this. They got lucky that Mike Budenholzer got a buyout or only had a 1-year buyout. So they can't just keep paying these free money to these coaches. So they're gonna have to stay the part of the course, because it's gonna be really easy if Doc Rivers goes to NBA playoffs and doesn't win a series, gets a first round exit again. That just makes it easy on the Milwaukee Bucks organization to go, well, 3 first round series, and if they have Giannis. Now, he got the excuse of not having Chris Middleton last year, or Damian Lillard, or Giannis together at one point in time and at one game. Never got that opportunity. He would have 1 or 2 in some mixed capacity. The year before that, same thing, no Giannis. So he's kind of got away with it. And now, if you go into these playoffs with Giannis healthy, everybody healthy, KPJ, you make some moves because, I mean, hey, buyout market, you still got the trade deadline. I don't know what they're going to do. I haven't read anything yet. It's still really early for that. If he goes in there with a good team and he loses first round again, that just makes it easy for the Milwaukee Bucks to go, thanks, Doc. Appreciate you. You're right of the ship. Doors on your left. Just make sure, give your key to Kathy. Really nice lady up the front desk. Thanks for everything. We appreciate it. See you later. That's just what's going to happen. But they can't afford because they're still paying. Then also they're paying Damian Lillard's salary as well for the next. They're on year 1 of this, so they got 4 more years of $20 million. They just simply can't afford it. So Doc Rivers is going to be the head coach for the rest of the year because then they don't have to pay him a buyout contract or anything. They're just going to live with it, and hopefully Giannis doesn't get pissed and leave, which I don't think he's leaving. Him deleting his shit. Everybody gets all. I'm not even going to get into it. It's me talking to this wall right here that's right in front of me. You can't see it, and yelling at it, telling it how it's blue when it's white. The wall's going to win. So it's pointless for us for even get into this Giannis talk because Giannis is not going anywhere. So people just need to relax. It's going to be okay. But Doc Rivers is probably going to be the head coach for the NBA or for the Milwaukee Bucks for the rest of the season, and there's nothing we can do about it. Does it suck? Absolutely, but it's just because the Bucks can't afford it. So they're paying out a buyout for Damian Lillard and Adrian Griffin. They're just going to have to live with this, unfortunately, unless it gets really bad. If it gets really bad, then you have Darvin Ham and the bench. He's coached the Lakers. Lip loves Darvin Ham. If anybody doesn't know, hit him up on X and talk to him about that. He loves Darvin Ham. He thinks he's the greatest coach to ever coach in the NBA. But Darvin Ham's there. He knows this team loves Darvin Ham. So I hope Lips hears this because because I think it's gonna be really funny. But if you have to fire him and let Darvin Ham take over the rest of the season, I don't think that's a bad idea at all. So, but unfortunately, we're kind of getting back into guys underperforming, which happens unfortunately. But there's times where like this, where the Wizards, you're giving up 129 to the Wizards. That's a problem, and that's setup problem. It's some kind of problem that ends up on the coaching staff.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree anymore. You know, the biggest thing is that I can only hold my hat on is that there's a lot of game left, and that's just what I'm going to hold my hat on because this isn't looking good. I mean, like I said, the last 10 games were 2 of 8. We got off the streak 1-1, then got back on it. So, and Miles Turner can't be shooting under 30% from the field in the past 3 games. So we'll just keep that obviously on tabs with the Bucks, and you know, hopefully, it just goes ahead
and they got a gauntlet coming up. They got a gauntlet coming up. The next 4 games, they got the Pistons twice, the 76ers, and the Celtics. Thankfully, the Celtics and the 76ers and the Pistons are all at home, and then you got a home and home against the Pistons. So you got the next 3 games at home, or 3 out of the 4 next games at home. Maybe you can rewrite the ship for those 4 games and maybe get back on track. Again, you got Kevin Porter Jr. back, which is huge. Maybe they can start working on some things with Rollins and KPJ. But if it continues like this, where you're 11th in the East and the East isn't even that strong, that's a problem.
Guy's not even a basketball guy, and he knows. All right, brother, before we go, what are the new questions, man? I feel like this is a new, hot topic on this show that people don't tune into, but but they definitely do. You dig what I'm saying?
All right, brother. I got top 5 menu items from fast food restaurants, so singular menu items.
Okay.
Not the menu in general, and not the restaurant, just the singular menu items without knowing what comes next. And I've seen these. I think I already know your list, and I'm going to see it, and we're going to see because I have a hunch I already know your list. Numero uno, we're starting off hot with the Taco Bell Crunchwrap Supreme.
Oh, shit.
Really making it hard on you right away.
I will go
because I know how you feel about Taco Bell.
Yeah, first, I'm not saying I love Taco Bell. I'll say I love Taco Bell. Maybe
we love Taco. It's okay.
Marketing purposes, I'll say I love.
It hits
Taco
at
Bell.
2 a.m. though.
That is a fact. I will put that because I'm assuming that there's going to be better items, even though Crunchwrap Supreme is very good. I'm going to go ahead and put that at 2. I'm going to put that at 2.
All right. Next up, Oreo McFlurry from McDonald's.
Ooh. Oreo McFlurry from McDonald's. I'll put that at a 5.
Okay. Next up here, Domino's cheesy bread.
Holy shit. I'm gonna put that at 3.
3. Are you dipping in a ranch or marinara, or what are we dipping that in? Or
Marinara,
both?
100%.
Marinara. Okay.
Nah,
Okay.
100 Marinara
hmm
because it's already cheesy as hell, and that is just
Yeah.
I
Okay.
don't know. I can't do ranch.
Okay. Next up, Burger King chicken fries.
That's
You
definitely
got
4.
4 and
Come on,
1 left.
that's 4. Come on, what's the
Number
last
one,
one? Come on, don't do me
number
wrong
one,
here. It's got to
the
be a
Popeye
burger.
spicy chicken sandwich.
Absolutely. What?
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I was like, so
That is
for
actually
yeah,
crazy. I thought it was gonna be like because I was saving it for like a burger or like a sandwich.
yeah.
Yeah, no,
I
that's a
mean,
pretty solid bid.
I thought you were gonna play it. I thought you were gonna play it safe and put the Crunchwrap Supreme at 1 right away because
No.
just okay. But I was like, that chicken sandwich is gonna mess with him if he has to put that at anything lower than a 1. So I
Yeah,
mean,
no. If
and the
that was the
in
second
the
one, I'd have been like,
yeah. So I mean, in the terms of the Popeyes versus Chick-fil-A debate, I prefer. Now, don't get me wrong. I'll take whatever is number 2 on the board. If I have the second draft pick of the chicken sandwich world and I'd take whichever one is not getting picked number 1. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be mad about either one.
right.
But I'm more of a Chick-fil-A guy compared to Popeyes guy. I've had both.
Yeah, I
I
mean
love them both.
that's normal.
Yeah, so I mean, some people swear by Popeyes too, which hey, whatever floats your boat. I'm not saying it's wrong, and I'm not saying that your opinion's flawed. It's a perfectly good chicken sandwich, but it must be the Lord that does the chicken over there at Chick-fil-A, because that shit is so good. So, but yeah, so let us know what your list was in the comments below because these are always fun to do. I love putting RJ's thought process in the test to the
Yeah,
test to
put
see
my
which one's gonna come next.
freaking big back to the test. I had numero uno the Popeyes chicken
Mm.
sandwich. Number 2 was the
Spicy chicken
Crunchwrap
sandwich
Supreme
too.
spicy chicken sandwich. Excuse me. 2 was Crunchwrap Supreme. 3 was cheesy bread. 4 was the good chicken fries, and 5 was an Oreo
I think
McFlurry. What's crazy
I think you
though?
hit. I think yeah. Which
No,
you're
go
never
ahead.
gonna get the McFlurry at McDonald's because their ice cream machine's always done.
True.
So
And I would just take. I would take a regular cone. I'll take a regular cone than a
yeah. I
McFlurry.
mean,
To be
I think
honest.
you hit that. I think you hit that list on the head. I think you definitely hit that list on the head.
There it
I
is.
mean,
Well, my good people.
to be totally honest with you, before we head out, I've actually never had the chicken fingers for Burger King. I'm going Whopper all goddamn day. So
Oh
I
yeah,
wouldn't even
those.
know. I'm going Whopper all damn day. I mean, whatever floats y'all boat. But to be honest, I've never had the chicken fingers from Burger King. I'm going there for Whoppers. So
Yeah. No, that's I ain't gonna
jeez,
lie. If you get some chicken fingers from Burger King, I might look at you a little sideways. But that's for another
I'm
time.
looking at you full size. Yeah, exactly.
You better not say nothing to me about getting my little McDonald's
Come at
chicken
me.
nuggets.
You know
But
where I'm at.
anyways,
Come at me in the comments. Fuck it.
here we go again. 5 minutes of talking about food. Everyone, you guys have a wonderful weekend. Shout out to our sports teams here in Wisconsin. We got a big one on Sunday. Let's just get the job done, man. I feel that we're kind of hitting just a memorable stride of where we are at right now when it comes to our Green Bay Packers. Let's just do this shit, man. Let's just show that we are why we where we are and why we have the rich history of being Green Bay Packer fans. So you already know what to do, Jimmers, but I appreciate time with you here on this beautiful pod, everyone. We'll see you sooner rather than later, man. Peace out.
Go Packers. Fuck the Bears.